He ruled the ring, dismantling everyone who dared stand across from him. Unbeaten, undisputed, a man who mastered the sport until there was nothing left to prove. But every reign ends. The gloves are hanging. The roar has gone silent. What remains is the life built after greatness. Today, we step inside his personal world. The luxury mansions shaped by years of discipline. The Hot Wheels he cruises through the city in. A lifestyle earned slowly and deliberately. This video steps into the chapters few ever see, where power meets purpose. So, before we explore the homes, the lifestyle, and the legacy Bud now lives, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Because this isn't about the fight anymore. It's about the life that came after. When Terence Crawford announced his retirement, it didn't feel like breaking news. It felt like an ending that had been written long before anyone outside Omaha even knew his name. Because before the belts, before the money, before the debates that divided boxing fans down the middle, Crawford had already faced his toughest opponent, survival. Boy born on September 28, 1987, learned early how to read threats, how to remain calm under pressure, and how to outlast chaos. Inside a small North Omaha gym, it was refined. The noise disappeared, the anger slowed, and something rare began to emerge. Not just a fighter, but a thinker. What started as an outlet became a craft. What began as survival became control. When Crawford stepped into the professional ranks, that control separated him immediately. Opponents came with plans. They left without answers. Titles arrived, then more titles. Weight classes fell one by one. In every division, the story repeated itself. Patience early, dominance late. Champions were broken. Undefeated fighters were exposed. And history quietly followed behind him. For divisions, undisputed, 42 fights, undefeated. But the most remarkable part wasn't the perfection. It was how little noise he made while achieving it. Crawford never chased attention. He let precision do the talking. By the time the gloves were finally set down, the arguments were already over. His resume didn't need defending. And when the fighting stopped, something surprising happened. The focus didn't fade, it shifted. In 2026, Terence Crawford's net worth is estimated at over $30 million, built not on reckless spending or fleeting fame, but on the same discipline that defined his career. To understand who Crawford is now, you don't look at the highlights. You look at how he lives. For him, luxury doesn't scream from yachts or flashy mansions. It whispers in quiet control, in calculated choices, in empires built one property at a time. Across Nebraska, Colorado, and Missouri, he quietly owns more than 100 properties, homes, apartments, and commercial ventures that speak of foresight, patience, and precision. Step into Omaha, and the scene feels almost ordinary. Blue shutters frame the windows. A fenced backyard hums with children's laughter. Here, the world champion is simply a father, a neighbor, a man grounded in his roots. Success isn't flashy here. It's lived, tangible, and steady. But drive a few hundred miles west to Colorado Springs and the story shifts. Marble floors stretch beneath soaring ceilings. Massive windows open on his sweeping mountain views, where the air is thin and quiet. Here, Crawford transforms into a predator again. Lungs burning, muscles coiling, preparing for challenges that don't exist yet. And then there's the garage, a sanctuary that mirrors his style in the ring. A Mercedes-AMG G63, boxy and commanding, stands like a sentinel. Beside it, the Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat snarls, nearly 800 horsepower ready to explode. A Corvette Stingray crouches low, precise, built for speed. Rugged trucks, GMC Sierra, Hummer H2, speak to the Nebraska grit that shaped him. Gold chains engraved with his initials rest heavy with meaning. Diamond watches shimmer under the lights, as precise as his movements in the ring. Custom jewelry carries stories only discipline could ever write. Could earn. Even a $317,000 robbery in 2016 didn't break the symbolism. Each item a marker of identity, control, and timing. Travel is strategic. Private jets hum quietly. carrying Crawford and his team wherever a challenge calls. Yet even in a life built on control and luxury, the question lingers. What forged the man who could command the ring, the world, and every opportunity in between? To answer that, we have to go back, all the way to the streets of Omaha, where young Terence "Bud" Crawford first learned what it meant to survive, to fight, and to become unstoppable. For years, he fought in obscurity, stacking wins while the world hesitated to notice. Promoters passed. Opponents avoided him. Risk without reward became his quiet reputation. Crawford wasn't just winning. He was learning how to control chaos itself, how to dismantle opponents before they even realized what was coming. The fight that put Crawford on the map came in 2013. Brady's Prescott, feared, heavy-handed, the man who had knocked out Amir Khan in under a minute, needed an opponent on 3 days' notice. Where others saw risk, Crawford saw opportunity. Inside the ring, Prescott brought power and aggression. Crawford didn't flinch. He didn't rush. Over 12 precise rounds, he dismantled Prescott, turning a feared knockout artist into a frustrated shadow. The message was clear. Terence Crawford wasn't just talented. He was a problem no one could solve. Momentum carried him across oceans. In March 2014, he walked into hostile territory in Glasgow, Scotland, to face Ricky Burns for the WBO lightweight title. The crowd belonged to Burns. Crawford had already mastered the inner game. By the final bell, the belt left Scotland with him. Nebraska had a world champion for the first time in nearly a century. The homecoming that summer against Yuri Ortiz Gamboa wasn't just a defense, it was a statement. Gamboa, with blistering speed and explosive power, tested Crawford early. Shots landed clean, movement was relentless, and for a moment, the fight felt precarious. But Crawford adapted. Round by round, he slowed the pace, controlled distance, and found the timing. By the ninth, four knockdowns had shifted the narrative completely. He claimed dominance. Comfort never dictated his choices. In 2015, he moved up to light welterweight, chasing greatness instead of security. Bigger men, harder punches, no excuses. Thomas DeLorme fell quickly. Deary Jean, John Molina Jr., Victor Postal, each came undefeated, confident, expecting to challenge him. Each left exposed. The Postal fight in 2016 was pivotal. Crawford dropped him twice and dominated every round, showcasing a mastery of timing, distance, and strategy that silenced any remaining doubters. August 2017 marked the pinnacle of light welterweight. Julius Ndongo, undefeated and holding the remaining belts, stepped into the ring. For titles, one fight, Crawford needed 3 rounds. A single brutal body shot ended it. He became undisputed, the first American in decades to unify the division. The boxing world had a new standard. Then came welterweight, boxing's most unforgiving playground. Jeff Horn, the Australian who shocked Manny Pacquiao, was supposed to halt him. He didn't. By the 9th round, Crawford had conquered a 3rd division. Then came Jose Benavidez Jr., Amir Khan, Egidijus Cavaliauskas, Kell Brook, Sean Porter, all faced the same formula. Angles, patience, timing, precision. Porter, relentless pressure incarnate, was stopped in the 10th after 2 precise knockdowns. Myths were erased, legends recalibrated, and the world demanded one final answer. July 2023, Las Vegas. Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr., 2 undefeated kings, one collision of history. From the opening bell, Crawford dictated every movement, distance, timing, violence. Spence was dropped, broken, stopped in the 9th. Undisputed again. No man had ever achieved this feat twice, and the achievement wasn't flashy. It was surgical, efficient, undeniable. Even as age crept in, Crawford refused limits. 2024, 36 years old, he moved up to light middleweight to face Israel Madrimov. Younger, undefeated, dangerous. 12 rounds later, Crawford stood victorious again. For divisions conquered. But the challenges didn't stop there. Canelo Alvarez, one of the most celebrated fighters of his generation, awaited. Younger, faster, a legacy on his shoulders. Crawford studied every rhythm, Every feint, every subtle movement. Angles were exploited, power neutralized. By championship rounds, it was undeniable. Crawford had outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and outclassed one of boxing's best. The victory wasn't just another belt, it was proof. Crawford's mastery transcended generations. By the time retirement was announced, the debates were over. Every unification, every strategic masterclass, every flawless performance had cemented a legacy few could ever approach. 42 fights, 4 divisions, multiple undisputed reigns, unyielding dominance. The victories, the belts, the historic knockouts, they all tell a story of dominance. But behind every triumph lies another battle, one fought outside the ring. Who anchors a man who has conquered the world? The answer isn't found in fights, it's found at home. At the center of that world is Alindra Person, the woman who has been more than a witness to his journey. Through every climb, every setback, every defining fight, she has been the constant, steadying presence in a life built on risk, precision, and relentless drive. Together, they've built a household alive with energy and love. 6 children fill the halls of their Omaha home with laughter, mischief, and chaos. The kind of noise that reminds Crawford what truly matters when the belts are packed away. He also nurtures a child from a previous relationship, blending lives and legacies, teaching lessons far beyond the ring. Here, he is not a champion defined by fists, but a father who measures strength in presence, attention, and care. From the streets of Omaha to boardrooms and gyms across states, his story becomes more than a career. It becomes a blueprint for what greatness can look like when it extends far beyond a ring. Crawford's empire begins with real estate. Across Nebraska, Colorado, and Missouri, he quietly owns over 100 properties, homes, apartment complexes, commercial ventures. But these aren't just assets. They are instruments of control, symbols of patience, and reminders that wealth built with discipline endures far longer than fame. Yet power isn't only measured in property. In Omaha, he gives back where it matters most. Youth programs, mentorships for aspiring fighters, scholarships, and community initiatives all bear his mark. He knows what it's like to fight for opportunity, and he refuses to let the next generation fight alone. He builds spaces for dreams to grow, local gyms where discipline can be taught, programs where ambition can thrive. Through these efforts, his influence extends beyond the ring, touching lives quietly but profoundly. Even his business ventures reflect the fighter's mind. Gym ownership, personal training programs, and brand management follow the same strategy that once guided his fists. Mastery, he believes, isn't limited to the ring. It flows into every decision, every venture, every project. Each victory wasn't just a win. It was a lesson in timing, strategy, and adaptability. From the body shot that ended Julius Ndongo, to the surgical dismantling of Errol Spence Jr., to the patient dominance over Sean Porter, Crawford turned boxing into both art and science. But what makes Crawford extraordinary isn't only perfection. It's the quiet power behind it. He never chased headlines. He never relied on chaos for attention. Every choice, every fight, every investment reflects the same philosophy. Discipline in action, mastery in execution. He retires not just undefeated, not just celebrated, but as a blueprint for greatness. A man who mastered the ring, mastered opportunity, and redefined what it means to leave a legacy. And still, one question lingers. When a life has been conquered with such precision, what comes next for a man who has already mastered everything? So once the gloves are hung up and the roar of the crowd fades, what truly remains of Terence Crawford? A fighter? A legend? A businessman? Or a man still navigating the shadows and triumphs of a life few could imagine? If you love this deep dive, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and make sure you're subscribed for even more inside looks into boxing's biggest names. And while you're here, check out our full breakdown of Junto Nakatani's journey. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you ringside in the next one.